My cousin's wedding reception was going perfectly until a man in a gray suit walked up to the head table and said, loud enough for every table to hear, "Ask him where he got the money for this wedding." Everyone froze. The best man's toast had just ended, and the room was still clapping when this stranger appeared beside the groom, my cousin Marcus, and set a manila folder down next to his plate like it was a wedding gift. Marcus's face went rigid. His new wife, Priya, looked between the two of them, confused, still holding her champagne glass mid-toast. "I'm not going to make a scene," the man said, which was funny because he already had. "I just want everyone here to know that the venue, the caterer, the open bar, all of it, was paid for with money that belongs to my late father's estate." My aunt, Marcus's mother, stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. Marcus's father had died 3 years ago, and my aunt had spent the last 2 years fighting a bitter dispute with her husband's business partner, a man named Denny, over what belonged to the family and what belonged to the company. I'd heard whispers about it at holidays, but never anything concrete. Looking at Denny standing there in his gray suit, I realized this had been building for a long time. "You need to leave," my aunt said, her voice low and shaking. "Not until people know the truth. Marcus has been quietly pulling money out of accounts that were never his to touch. $41,000 in the last 6 months alone. This wedding, this whole event, is stolen money." Priya set her glass down so carefully it seemed louder than if she'd dropped it. "Marcus," she said, "what is he talking about?" Marcus didn't answer right away, and that silence stretched long enough that people at nearby tables started standing up to see what was happening. Some had their phones out. My uncle Marcus's stepfather came around the table fast, telling Denny to get out before he called security, but Denny didn't move. "Show them the transfer records, Marcus," Denny said. "Or should I?" My aunt's hands were trembling. She grabbed Marcus's arm. "Tell him it isn't true." Marcus finally spoke, quiet at first. "It's true I moved money. It's not true that it was stolen." Denny laughed, a short, ugly sound. "$41,000 just appeared in your wedding fund by accident. It wasn't from the company," Marcus said, and now his voice was steadier. "It was from Dad's personal account, the one he opened for me when I was 19, before he and Denny were even partners. Dad added a note to his will 2 years before he died, saying that account was mine outright, separate from the business, separate from anything Denny has a claim to. You know that, Denny. You've known that since the estate reading. You just didn't get what you wanted out of the business split, so now you're trying to take it out of what's actually mine. That account was never formally separated from company assets," Denny snapped. "My lawyer says, your lawyer said that 18 months ago, and lost," Marcus said. "The probate court already ruled on this. I have the judge's order. I have the account records. I brought them because I had a feeling you might try something, and honestly, I hoped you wouldn't do it here, but I'm not surprised." He reached into the inner pocket of his suit jacket, unhurried now, and pulled out a folded document, setting it on the table next to Denny's folder. Page 4, the judge's signature. "This money has been legally mine for over a year. You're the one who's been trying to reopen a settled case because you didn't like the outcome." Denny picked up the document, scanning it, and the confidence started draining from his face in real time. A few relatives had drifted close enough to read over his shoulder, and I watched the room's mood shift from horror to something closer to secondhand embarrassment on Denny's behalf. "This isn't over," Denny muttered, but it came out weaker than his opening line had. "It is, actually," my uncle said, stepping between them. "You need to leave before I have you removed." Denny left. Nobody clapped when the door shut behind him, but the tension in the room broke all at once, like everyone exhaled together. Priya turned to Marcus, still pale. "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" "Because I didn't want our wedding to be about my dad's estate fight," he said. "I just wanted it to be about us. I'm sorry it became about it anyway." She took his hand, and after a long moment, she smiled. Small and tired, but real. "Well, at least he picked a memorable way to RSVP no." The band started playing again a few minutes later, and people slowly returned to their seats, buzzing with the kind of story that would outlive the cake in everyone's memory. My aunt sat back down, still shaken, but when Marcus caught her eye across the room, she raised her glass to him just slightly, and he raised his back.